Hi there, I'm Lucille.
And I'm Leanne.
Welcome to Love and Light, where we talk all things life with our foundation rooted in Jesus.
Two friends sharing their thoughts, opinions, and experiences. Join us as we take this journey together exploring life. So today we'll be speaking about maintaining relationships, focusing on the importance of having God in every relationship, maintaining or navigating unsaved and saved relationships, and then navigating family dynamics, religion versus relationship. That's always an interesting way of looking at maintaining a relationship, especially when you bring God into the foundation of it. So what is the importance of having God in every relationship? And is it even important to have God in every relationship?
First of all, I think it's very important. It's, for me personally, I think it keeps a lot of my relationships grounded. It makes me feel like the relationship itself is moving in the right direction, and it's growing in the right way, in the right context, if I can use that word. I think why it's important to have God in every relationship, it's just, as a believer, I think if God's at the center of a relationship, that's kind of where you find your people. And those relationships, it's usually easier because you'll find that there's a balance, or you guys share the same interests and beliefs. So I think it is very important, because if God's not at the center of a relationship, it's very easy for you or the relationship to kind of sideline, or for you to get derailed, or for you to be in a position where you're now faced with decisions that you need to make, or where things don't align now with your beliefs. So I think, personally, I think that it is quite important for God to be at the center of your relationships. Any relationship for that matter, whether it's platonic, whether it's with your friends, or even in relationships itself, because especially with a relationship, I think if you're not on the same page as your partner, then chances are you're not going to see eye to eye. And you'll find that you want to go one way and your partner wants to go a different direction. So in that space, I think for the relationship to be successful and for it to grow, I think it is important for God to be at the center. But even with your friendship circles, I think, having a friendship circle where God is at the center, it becomes easier for both you and the parties involved to talk and to share about like-minded things. And you don't feel like you have to, you don't feel awkward, you don't feel out of place, you don't feel like, but can I be in these spaces? Or do I belong in these spaces? Or can I be friends with these people if my views and my beliefs are not the same as their beliefs, So
yes, it definitely makes relationships easier. Like you said, you feel more comfortable. It's easier to speak about. There's less misunderstandings. If your friend group is your community that is, founded in Jesus, it makes the understanding better. So if you say to the friend, I can't be here this weekend because actually I've got a church conference.
Exactly.
We're going to be at church the whole week, or whatever. They're not going to turn around and go, oh,
church again.
It's that understanding of, okay, cool. Well, let us know when you're available and things. So the understanding is there. It makes it a lot easier to kind of navigate your planning, your daily life, because you don't have to explain yourself.
Yes.
And I think that makes it feel so much easier, because there's no awkwardness. There's no, this person's not going to get upset with me because I'm again going to be doing as they think church.
Yes.
So
they don't understand, and then it's kind of like, but she's too religious, or she's become now too churchy for us, type of thing. So,
and like you were saying, not just in friendships but also relationship, I've been there. I've had those relationships where I knew the path of God. The other person was Christian, but not on the same page. So when I needed to do something at church or for church, the understanding was always, yeah, but I want to do this and I want to go here this weekend and I want to. So it does create a lot of problems and it causes fights. And also it made me feel like, why do I always have to explain? Why do I want to love Jesus? And so when you in a relationship with somebody that has that same understanding as you, that also wants to follow Jesus in the same way, it makes it easier. It's also a healthier relationship, I feel, because you're putting God in that center. And you are both looking at life in the same way, having the same understanding. But obviously there is also, I'm not saying, you can't have relationships with, no, I'm not saying that. Let me fix that. No, I'm not saying that you should have a relationship with someone that isn't Christian. No, let's get that one. But I'm talking like friendships and things. we must correct that. Because we can be friends with other people that are 100%. Not the same religion as you. But then you also learn. You learn where those boundaries are. You learn how to manage those relationships. But it does make it awkward to sit with somebody that's of a different religion and say, God did this for me this week. Because they don't understand it, because they don't believe in the same God. So it does make maybe sharing in those relationships a little bit harder.
I think in those situations, it's very important there needs to be a level of respect. You can't have a relationship or a relationship or even a friendship can't exist if there's no mutual respect. So if, two people are friends and they are from different beliefs, I think what's important is there needs to be some form or level of, okay, I understand and I'm accepting that about you, and vice versa, without trying to force the other person's beliefs onto the next person. So with friendships especially, I think it's important to have those boundaries up, because so we kind of don't get lost in the, okay, but she's Muslim, so that means I need to dumb down my Christianity or my beliefs, and and vice versa. And I don't want to be in a situation where now I can't openly love Jesus because I might offend someone else. But I think if you're going to have a friendship in that case, it needs to be open, and there needs to be a line of communication that both parties understand, okay, yes, that's her and this is me. And just because she is in that direction or that's her beliefs, that doesn't mean that, okay, I am less than in my beliefs and we cannot have a relationship. But the same thing goes with a romantic relationship. I think the most important thing is that you're both working towards a relationship with Jesus, because I don't expect two people to be on the same journey. My journey is different from your journey. And vice versa. So in a relationship, it's very, very, especially a young relationship, your journey, your spiritual journey and your partner's spiritual journey is often not in the same place. I remember with me, my now husband he was where he was.
Okay.
And I was very new to that. But it took time to kind of get where we are now, because he was
learning to adjust.
Exactly. And I was learning to adjust, and I was new on this journey, and I had to take my journey for me the way I needed to do it. And he needed to understand that, okay, but
you're still growing.
I'm still on this journey. I can't be all of a sudden wake up tomorrow, we're on the same page, this is where we are. Because it doesn't work like that. But the foundation was Jesus. And we both knew that, okay, God's here in the center of our relationship, and that's the vision, that's the goal, that's the journey, that's where we're going. How we get there, we take our strides, but it's an individual relationship. So, but God does need to be present. He needs to be at the center, because then if it's not, then it's kind of like, okay, but we're just going. Where we're going, I don't know, but we're going. We're just going.
No, I agree with you. And for me, the importance of God in a romantic relationship, for me, is the most important. Where with friends, that one, you can kind of move along and we can be friends and we'll work around it. And if you don't understand, you don't understand, that's cool. But I do feel that if you are going to be in a relationship with somebody, that foundation does need to be there. Wherever your journeys are, the foundation does need to be Jesus. And that's what's going to get you to where you want to be as a couple or not.
Yes.
And that's what's going to be the deciding factor.
Yes.
But with friendships, I feel it can go sort of anyway.
Either or, yeah.
And for me, the biggest thing is with friendships, especially those that are not based on Jesus, it's just to love on them. I found that's a big thing for me. I had to learn is not to put God on them because I can't be that type of person. But I've also had to learn to just, I love you. And I want you to see God in how I love you. That's it. And I want you to see God from how I treat you, how I'm around you, how I deal with situations. And that's okay.
Yeah.
But like I said, that I had to learn not to go, but God can help you and God can do this.
Yes. But do you go to church? But do you pray? Do you read your
That's the thing. So I had to, for me, also maturing in Christ, I had to learn that it's okay. Sometimes you just need to be so that the person can see your life. Sometimes you don't even have to say anything and the person can go, but you're living in such a way. Why? Why is, why do you cope so well with something? Or why does this work so well for you? And that's what I mostly try to strive to be, is to show God. Not to always say it, but to show it in my actions, in the way I handle my decisions, myself as a person, which also brings it to the managing those saved and unsaved relationships, because that's what leads you to learning that you don't have to just be friends with Christian people. Yes, it makes your life easier because of that understanding. But it means you can just love on those unsaved relationships and then pray for them and then hope that, through what you're showing, it's going to make them want to know, who is this Jesus that you talk so amazingly about, that has done so much for you in your life. That's how I find navigating those unsaved. It's just to love on people.
Yeah, so for me, I mean, through my journey and through my personal maturity and spiritual maturity, I think I've learned to, number one, realize that it's okay, that I don't need to have only saved friends. I can still be friends with my friends who are not saved, and I think a lot of people don't realize what it means to be saved, because what I found was, back then, before I got saved, for me, the concept of being saved was kind of like, oh, I now need to change my behavior. I now need to change my appearance. I now need to change, my lifestyle, in a sense that I should no longer have a glass of wine or a cider now and again, or something that's literally I needed to flip it and be a completely different person. But as I, started opening myself up to understand and to kind of, listen to the messages at church and the word, and started reading my Bible, and just through conversations with my husband, with my friends, or, it kind of showed me that, okay, that's not what it means. It just means that, you are now have accepted this is your journey, that you now decided that you want to go on, and you're just gonna live your life the way that Jesus would have wanted you to. That doesn't mean that you now have to change your behavior or any of those things. And I think when I understood that, I was like, okay, that's, but the lack of understanding, it's kind of hard for your friends to see that.
Yes.
So, but I think I still have a good relationship with my friends who he's not saved in that way. But I had to learn that, okay, I can still be friends in the same capacity. It's just, there's certain things, my beliefs have changed, my focus has shifted, and that's okay. That in its own is okay. Because I remember when, in the beginning, it was a very lonely, I felt alone because I felt like, okay, I've decided to go on this journey. Now, I want friends. I want people. I really want friends who will understand this journey that I'm going on. And for a long time, I would find someone and then kind of grab onto him and like, you're my friend, you're my friend, you're my friend, you're my friend, you're my friend. And obviously it didn't last because the intention was good, but I mean, it wasn't a natural thing. So I kind of had to just, take a step and just say, okay, God, you know what? I know that I'm on this journey and my friends are my friends, but they don't necessarily understand my journey, but it's also, it's an educational moment because they learn through your actions how they need to now treat you, or not so much treat you, but okay, that you're on another journey.
This is how you feel about things.
So the dynamic of the friendship has to change. And it kind of, because they understood that and they loved me, and I mean, we're friends, some of them, yes, they adapted.
Yes.
And those who didn't understand or did not want to understand, it's okay. And that friendship fizzled out, and that's fine, because I'm okay with not holding onto a relationship that's no longer fruitful for me,
And I think also as people, we need to not put so much pressure on ourselves to know that those relationships will happen as they need to. If that friendship is meant to continue, it will. We will build it, it will work, it will go according to how God wants it to. And if it doesn't, we learn and we see that you on a different path, I'm on a different path. When we see each other, we'll still chat, we'll still ask, how are you doing? But it doesn't mean it has to be an everyday. But that we also don't have to feel like we're losing out. And then put ourselves under pressure to keep ourselves in certain spaces, to then be in the club because that's where our friends are, or to get completely drunk with them because that's what they do. And that it's okay to start this new process, going through. And like you said, you thought you had to change your behavior. We can't do that on our own. Those are things that as you build your journey with God, going through your new saved path, you start feeling, okay, I don't like this kind of music anymore. So now I'm not going to listen to this kind of music anymore. So then when you're with your friends, you feel, okay, if they want to do that, that's okay. I don't need to go along with it.
And also you don't feel like you're not judging them.
It's not
coming from a place of judgment or a place of like,
really? It's just
like,
And if they say to you, have you heard the new this, that? No, I don't listen to that kind of music anymore. And for me, I just feel that this is the new type of phase I want to be in. And it's not something you do planned. It becomes so natural that as you're going through your journey, it just becomes like, this is what I find that I like. This is how I like to be in my day. But I also think that as you go through your journey, God kind of gives you the wisdom on how to manage those relationships and how to treat those people. For me, growing, I learned how to go, okay, but this type of person, don't say that because this doesn't work for them. And that's okay. Don't bring up, because it's just going to cause a fight. So we're just not going to talk about it. And it's okay. We don't have to. So I think as we learn, it gives us more insight and more knowledge on how to navigate that. And I think also just saying to God, I have this friend and I don't know how to maintain this relationship, but maybe I've been friends with this person for so long, and do I just let it go, or how do I manage the relationship? I think also remembering to bring him into the conversation and saying, Lord, is this friendship something I should be doing? Is this friendship, if I am, help me, like show me the right way to speak to this person, the right way to be in this person's life without us clashing, because now I want to live for you.
Yes.
And I think a lot of people don't know how to do that because they do forget that God should be number one in that conversation when you're having that difficult conversation with yourself.
100%.
It's to say to him, help. Just help. And that we also leave it out when we face our families, when we have very religious family and very relationship family. Because I mean, how we are now in our church, we focus on the relationship with Jesus. And navigating those relationships in our families are hard, because how do you deal with the older generation that is very religious, that doesn't, you know, your tattoo is a problem, this is a problem, and then with the family that goes, no, but we have a relationship with Jesus, and you know, those relationships are kind of hard to maintain.
I think those relationships are the hardest to maintain, in my opinion, because not so much maintaining it, but how do you then be yourself in those relationships? Because I mean, look, my personal experience is, because, look, I've grown up Anglican, right? So I mean, it's my family's Anglican, and the older generation has, you know, the way that they've been doing it, where it's more religion focused. And here I come along, and not that I've never felt the presence of the Holy Spirit in those moments, but I think I've always wanted more. I always needed something more. You know, I'm not saying that
such as tradition.
Exactly.
You weren't just looking for the tradition.
100%. But I'm not saying that there weren't moments where I actually sat and said, "You, okay, I can feel like Holy Spirit, thank you." But I always needed more. And when I started, you know, this journey more relationship oriented than religion oriented, it was then where it was kind of like, okay, but what do you mean that you're going to church with a shorts on? Or what, you know, why are you not wearing a dress, or your shoulders are open,
why you're not covered?
Your tattoos, why? And I constantly have to have these conversations about, oh, but really,
God accepts me.
Literally, God accepts me. It's not about my appearance. It's about my heart. It's about what is in my heart. And for them to understand that, I think the older generation is so, they're so used to
a certain way
that for them it's kind of like, but you just making this, it's like you,
to suit you.
Yes, you're doing something that just the way you want it, because it's going to be easier for you. And it's not like that. And I think what a lot of people forget is, just because you don't understand it does not mean that it's wrong, number one. And I think what I found a lot of the time is that those are the people who, because they don't understand, for them it's kind of like but it's wrong. But that's wrong. That's very, very wrong. That's wrong. And, you know, so I've learned to kind of give them their space and not get into it, because when people are so used to something, it's very hard for them to come around, and they get very defensive about it. So I've kind of just learned to be like, you know what?
That's you.
That's fine. And I don't get into it because I'm going to butt heads.
Yes,
and
definitely. Yeah. And I think both of us have such strong personalities that if we do get into it, it's not going to be the nicest conversation. And I have had to learn, and I know my family's going to be listening to this, but you know, there are those times where someone will say something and I'm like, and then it's like, actually, to save and maintain that relationship, I'm not gonna involve myself in that conversation, or I'm not gonna give my opinion on that, because I don't want to say something that is going to hurt our relationship.
Yes, exactly.
That's you. That's how you believe. That's how you go about life, and that's okay. you keep doing you.
Yeah.
If it works for you, that's fine.
Yes.
But there are times when I sit there and go, I really want to say this, and I really...
And it's so hard. The thing is, it's so hard for you to kind of say it, because how do you say something
in love
without, coming from a good place, but then not sounding like you're challenging that person or you being confrontational? Because in a lot of those situations, it does sound confrontational, because you are then kind of, it feels like you're being attacked.
Yeah.
Right? Even if it's coming from a good place, it doesn't feel like it.
Yeah.
And I think it's those moments where I kind of have to learn that, okay, you know what? For the sake of our relationship, but also because you are important to me and I love you, and I'm going to, because I'm learning to love on people the way Jesus would, I kind of take a step back and it goes in here and it comes out. Anything negative goes in the one ear and I just brush it off and I keep it moving. But I do think it's important also to have uncomfortable conversations with people who are close to us, So I know, especially with family, and I'm probably going to get messages and so forth.
Like,
but
you said what?
But it is important, even if it's a one-on-one conversation where you just have that conversation and say, listen, this is where I'm at. And I'm not saying that I didn't believe before or it was the most horrible experience before,
it just wasn't.
But this is where I am now. And I'm on this journey, and I'm not, doesn't mean that I love you any less, or that what I've learned throughout my life is irrelevant or has now been eradicated because, oh no, I've decided to go. Just because we're not on the same, not even beliefs, but just because we're not on the same platform, does not mean that one is
better than the other. It's just that now we're in a space of, this is how we learning to love Jesus.
Yes.
And this is how we building that relationship with Jesus. And it's not so much we want to focus on all those traditions, and we don't want to be Bible bashed. And I hate it when people say that, but it is. Sometimes you do feel like you're being Bible bashed. But it's more of, as a person, we want to learn Jesus our way. We want to love Jesus our way. And what feels that like we've built that relationship with him. So is there anything you want to wrap up with?
I think it boils down to, your journey is not my journey. And we need to understand that it's okay that we're on separate journeys, as long as the focus is God.
Always Jesus.
It's always Jesus. And just because you feel that, oh no, it's more religion and more religious, practices or those things, doesn't mean that I think less of you or that I feel like, oh no, I'm better or whatever.
Just want to challenge you.
Exactly. Or I want to challenge you, or because I'm saying that I'm more relationship orientated, which means that, I want to focus on my relationship with Jesus. Even if I have 1 million tattoos, or
that's not going to change how he sees me.
That's not going to change how he sees me. Just, even if I have a drink now and again, or even if I go out now and again, that doesn't mean that, oh no, I'm now turning my back against everything. That's not what I'm saying. I'm saying that I'm on my journey and you are on your journey, and we're both focusing on Jesus. So I think we just have to remember to love on each other and not be so confrontational about things, and understand that, look, just because we're on two different journeys doesn't mean that we can't see eye to eye. So I think
the main point is just love. Do it all in love. And I don't think you can go wrong that way.
No. Thank you so much for joining us on today's episode on Love and Light. If you enjoyed it and you're watching on YouTube, please leave us a comment. We'd love to know what you thought about today's episode.
Please don't forget to like and subscribe and follow us on our social media platforms. Our handle, Love and Light Pod. Until next time, have a blessed week.